See, any success I've had because I've got great mentors. And I'm a good student. Now, until I was 26, I was a terrible student. When I picked up this book, I became a great student. I've got thousands of books. I have an office at home in my home. It's got a couple of thousand books in it, and then I built a studio, and I've got a couple of thousand books in the studio. I love reading. But the success that I've enjoyed is because of the mentors or the coaches I've had. I would do exactly what they tell me. And if I coach somebody today and they don't do exactly what I tell them, I don't coach them anymore. Just like that, it's all over.
It's not ready.
Well, it's not that only that they're not ready, but if I'm going to coach somebody and they're not doing what I tell them, I'm wasting my time and theirs too. Now, if they want to waste their time, that's their prerogative. I'm not going to waste mine.
There's a great Chinese story. It's a Chinese proverb. It's told many ways, but here's the way I heard it. A young man is born with an unbelievable gift for horse riding, and everyone in the village says, "You're so lucky." And the monk says, "We'll see." And he falls off his horse and breaks his leg, ends his career. And everyone in the village says, "You're so unlucky." And the monk says, "We'll see." And then war breaks out, and all the young men are sent off to battle, but he can't go because of his busted leg. And everyone in the village says, "You're so lucky." And the monk says, "We'll see." And the point is, good, bad, I don't know what those things are. We perceive things as good or bad because of the lens we're looking through. And what I have learned about my own life and my own career is that every strength that I have has liability, and every weakness that I have, there is hidden opportunity, right? So for example, self-confidence, really important, gotta have self-confidence, right? The liability of self-confidence is sometimes you come across a little cocky.
Here's what I do specifically to help myself stay focused. First things first, when I wake up in the morning, I do not sleep next to my phone. The reason why I don't sleep next to my phone is because if you sleep next to it or use it as your alarm, your tendency is to look at it while you're in bed. Do not do that. That's tip number one. Tip number two, I have a pad of Post-it notes. Yes, Post-it notes next to my sink in my bathroom. Why? Well, because after I brush my teeth, haven't looked at my phone yet, I take a Post-it note out and I write the 3 things I need to focus on today. And then you know what I do with it? I stick it on the back of my phone. Third thing that I do, it's a little trick I call 30 before 7:30. What that means, I spend 30 minutes before 7:30 a.m. just focused on getting my day organized.
I've watched people do very difficult things, like people who work in palliative care wards. So all they're ever dealing with is pain and death, right? And they can do it. They get up in the morning, they go to work, and they take care of those people. They lose people on a weekly basis, and yet they can do it. And what that shows is that if you turn around and you confront the suffering voluntarily, you find out that you are way tougher than you think. It's not that life is better than you think. Life is as harsh as you think. It might even be worse, but you are way tougher than you think if you turn around and confront it. The first noble truth of Buddhism, life is suffering. This is true, and it's worse than that because it's suffering contaminated by malevolence. That's the baseline. And so that's very pessimistic, but the optimistic part is that you are so damn tough you can actually not only deal with that, you can improve it.
I never forget the gentleman I eulogized a few weeks ago when I first met him. He said, "Young man, go to the board to work this problem out for me." I said, "Oh, sir, I can't do that." "Why not?" "I'm not one of your students." "Look at me." "Yes, sir." "Go to the board and work the problem out anyhow." "I can't, sir." "Why?" And the other students started laughing. "He's DT. He's a twin. His brother's smart. His sister, she's smart. But he's DT. "What's DT?" "He's a dumb twin." And I said, "I am, sir." As the students laughed and he came from behind his desk, he looked at me. He said, "Don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality." And so that was a turning point in my life. On one hand, I was humiliated, but on the other hand, I was liberated. Because he looked at me with the eyes of Goethe, who said, "Look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse." but look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be.
I learned myself. I had a brother, Fred, great guy, best looking guy, best personality, much better than mine. But he had a problem. He had a problem with alcohol. And he would tell me, don't drink, don't drink. He was substantially older, and I listened to him and I respected, but he would constantly tell me, don't drink. He'd also add, don't smoke. But he would say it over and over and over again. And to this day, I've never had a drink. And I have no longing for it. I have no interest in it. To this day, I've never had a cigarette. I had somebody that guided me, and he had a very, very, very tough life because of alcohol, believe me. The fact is, if we can teach young people and people generally not to start, it's really, really easy not to take them.
You don't have to hang out with people you don't like. There's a pro-life tip for everybody. You don't have to. One of the things that is a massive indication that you're hanging out with the wrong group of people is that you don't feel comfortable being yourself. The second you try to be somebody else or you feel like a chameleon just to fit in, you are trying to fit in with the wrong group. Relationships only work when you can be the real you. So the only way to deal with this is either show up with that group of people and be your full self. And every time you think something inferior, just knock that thought out of your mind, say what you really believe, be interested in what you're really interested in, or the easier route, honestly, drop the popular kids and find your people. You need to find your people. And your people are the kind of people that the second you hang out with them, you don't feel like less of yourself, you feel like more of yourself. You feel like you want to express yourself and show up and be more of yourself. That's the indication that you have found your people.